Florida Republicans are threatening to revoke an unusual rule specific to Walt Disney World. It effectively allows the company to act as its own autonomous municipal government. Lawmakers floated the change after Disney denounced what critics are calling the Don't Say Gay law. Republican Congressman Spencer Roach tweeted Wednesday that lawmakers are meeting to discuss abolishing the 1967 Reedy Creek Improvement Act. That law established the Reedy Creek Improvement District for the land owned by Walt Disney World. Disney vowed Monday to help repeal Florida's parental rights in education law that bars teachers from discussing sexual orientation or gender identity in kindergarten through third grade classrooms. In higher grades, it bans any conversations conducted in a, quote, manner that is not age appropriate or developmentally appropriate. The law also allows parents to sue school districts that violate the policy. Joining us now is Jacob Ogles. He is a reporter for FloridaPolitics.com. Welcome. Good to have you here. So let's begin by just talking about the 1967 Reedy Creek Improvement Act. I think most of us didn't know that it even existed. So explain to us how Disney's able to essentially function as its own governing city.
Well, yes, this is something that dates back to when Walt Disney was first scouting Central Florida for land. They bought a significant amount of land here in the area. One of the things that Walt Disney wanted that he did not have at Disneyland in California was to have a lot of autonomy and control over what happened over the property, so he didn't just have unfortunate urban blight show up blocks away from the theme park. What was set up was basically a government. They make land use decisions. They run their own fire department. They have their own police that's Walt Disney Security. And they just do a lot of the things that typically fall to a city or a county to do.
Well, they are so huge. In some ways, you can see why that was created and why that might be beneficial both to Florida and to the Walt Disney Corporation. But now Florida Governor Ron DeSantis signaled that he supports repealing the Reedy Creek law as it seems like a punishment for Disney taking this stance. So do Florida Republicans have enough support to take this away from Disney?
Well, that remains to be seen. For the record, they just closed the legislative session here in Florida. So they're not typically supposed to meet until next year, although there is a special session to deal with redistricting coming up, and any number of other topics may come up. That said, I think that you're going to run into some opposition with this, even within the Republican Party. There have been some Republican lawmakers who've already started to return donations over the opposition to Don't Say Gay, but there's still a tremendous amount of influence that Disney holds with the state of Florida and its government. It's one of the state's largest employers and has been for years. Just recently, they announced they were moving thousands of theme park-related jobs to the Lake Nona area. So honestly, it would be quite a blow for Florida to suddenly strip them of government powers that they've enjoyed now for decades.
You sort of wonder, for most of our viewers, they come at this as a consumer. If they go to Disney, they're there for the experience. If that act were repealed, would that change anything about the Disney experience? Would the company operate differently? And what would be the implications then for local governments that would need to then take up all of those municipal functions that Disney had previously performed?
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly how different the experience will be for guests necessarily. That remains to be seen. But this is going to be asking Orange County and Osceola County, the places where right now the Walt Disney World Resort spans. That's going to have them picking up a lot of services that right now are handled by Reedy Creek. I'm not sure ultimately what happens with that. You'd likely see the Reedy Creek Fire Department become part of the county fire department, but there's going to be a lot of negotiations, a lot of interlocal agreements that remain to be discussed at all. I don't think Orange County and Osceola County are particularly excited to take on these responsibilities. And I certainly know that Walt Disney World and the Disney Corporation wouldn't want to willingly give up the autonomy that they have on the property right now.
Mm-hmm. Well, the parental rights rights in education law, which was the catalyst for us discussing the Reedy Creek Act. It's highly controversial. And Disney isn't the first to come out in opposition to it. LGBTQ plus organizations, Hollywood celebrities, the White House, Democratic lawmakers, activists. There have been plenty of people who have criticized the so-called Don't Say Gay law. Why are these Republican legislators seeking to punish Disney specifically for rebuking the law?
Well, I think it speaks a lot to the profile of the company in the state of Florida. Of note, just a few weeks ago, Disney was taking a hammering from the left for failing to speak up about Don't Say Gay before it passed. Their involvement really started after the legislature already passed the bill. And then the day after the governor signed the bill into law, they issued a very strong statement basically saying that they would finance any effort to have the bill either repealed or to have it thrown out by the courts. I think that is what ultimately got the attention of the government in a really negative way here, so that they've now heavily criticized Disney over the last couple weeks or so. I don't know exactly why Disney and not any of the other critics, but I think that everybody notices. I mean, I'm on here today on national TV talking about what's happening to Disney. I think that a big part of this is just making sure that the Republicans in the legislature and in the governor's mansion know they are very serious about defending this bill and trying to discourage anybody else from speaking out against it.
All right, Jacob Ogles, thank you very much.
Thank you.